How to understand postpartum depression. Many don't understand it, while others don't take it seriously. While millions of families suffer from this, the general opinion on the matter is negative. We're seeking the answer on how to have more empathy and how to help those who suffer from it. Baby blues, postpartum depression, or psychosis. Even if we hear about it, we think it can't happen to us. It can't. We have a supporting family, friends, and our partner is perfect. Then how is it possible that in the middle of the night, we're suddenly crying on the sofa and telling ourselves that we're bad mothers? When you talk about starting a family with your partner, you're usually thinking about an idealized picture. No surprise here, since having children is wonderful and is a natural thing in most people's lives that happens without any hardship. So why would the period after giving birth be hard? It's true that once you're pregnant, the best part of your life is here. You're dreaming about what it will be like once the baby is born. Who will the baby take after? What you'll do together? How you'll teach your child, etc. In this almost euphoric state, people tend to forget about details and challenges that can lead to serious things. This is due to the fact that we don't like to talk about or share our problems, as we're ashamed of them. This may be one of the reasons why the postpartum phase is described so differently, that once we face reality, we're simply crippled. We can confidently say that it's impossible to be prepared for what pregnancy is followed by. Giving birth itself is also a very important event, one which we usually don't process knowingly, even though there is a lot to process here. For example, it's important whether the birth itself went according to plan, because if it didn't, then we begin the process of becoming a parent with trauma already. It's worth mentioning that it's not exclusive to the mother. It also applies to the partner of the mother, as the partner also sees the whole process before, during, and after giving birth. So the causes are complicated. We simply can't be prepared for the several months of sleep deprivation, change of relationship, lack of intimacy. Our image about ourselves changes because we may have problems treating certain issues, which results in accusing ourselves of many things which we didn't even know about beforehand. We could say that the high-risk situations aren't common for everyone, but this isn't true. Everyone experiences about the same hardships after giving birth. Then how is it possible that not everyone experiences postpartum depression? The answer is simple and complicated at the same time. On one hand, we're all different, so we react differently to things. On the other hand, which may be even harsher, is how our environment reacts to us experiencing these things and whether they react to the symptoms as well. So what are these symptoms? Manic jealousy towards the partner, which is baseless and comes from ruined self-evaluation and losing our self-sufficiency. Everything can seem suspicious at times like these. Another factor is that the partner is usually not bound to the child, meaning they can have a bit more free time compared to the mother, who in the first few months can't do anything without the child. Sudden negative thoughts, as someone with depression can't control their regularly returning negative thoughts. Paranoia, thinking that everyone knows about your problem and they judge you for it. The mother feels that she can't fulfill the child's needs. This train of thought could result in actually neglecting the child. The crying of the baby is hard to tolerate, as we feel we can't help the baby. This can make the mother or parents frustrated or even aggressive. In radical cases, this could lead to anti-life thoughts in the mother towards either herself or the child. How prone you are to depression also plays a part. If you have a family history of depression or postpartum depression, there is a large chance you may also have to deal with it. Postpartum depression can't be recognized right away. In certain cases, it's never even recognized. Then how do you know what you're up against? If you have a checklist, it's easier to diagnose yourself and your environment to know whether you need extra support or not. Let's see what signs you should be watching out for in order to avoid problems. First of all, it's important to know that postpartum depression comes out once the child is about 5 to 8 months old. If we detect the weaker symptoms in the following days or weeks after giving birth, it's probably just baby blues. This, contrary to postpartum depression, is natural and doesn't last longer than a few weeks. What's more, it doesn't require medical help if we get enough support from our environment. However, postpartum depression can't be fixed at home. It's a sneaky illness, and one of the biggest issues that it's usually not taken seriously. Some don't take it seriously even when they've been diagnosed as depressive, are still considered to be fake by many. However, the environment needs to know that this is indeed an illness. But the good news is that there's a cure. Back to symptoms. If you feel that instead of happiness, you experience tension, helplessness and tiredness, you also get anxiety, which takes away all your energy and joy. You're not in the mood to do anything. We don't want to see friends. We have negative thoughts regarding our partner, environment, children. We feel that everyone looks down on us. We don't feel the happiness we should feel after giving birth. This is when you should realize that you're dealing with postpartum depression. Even if this is the case, don't be scared. There's a solution. However, you need to take this situation seriously and need to treat the symptoms. Otherwise, untreated postpartum depression could damage your family life. Since this works like a spiral, the sooner you start treating it, the less damage it will cause. So if a mother or her environment detects 3 of these symptoms, it's recommended to go to a doctor. Fortunately, there are many solutions, and contrary to popular beliefs, there are many kinds of medicine that can be taken while breastfeeding. You may need medicine in certain cases if the hormonal changes in the mother's body affect the neural network as well. Women's hormone levels change during and after pregnancy, and it affects their mood as well. This is why taking a hormone test and examination is recommended. If the situation isn't severe, but we feel that the depression is in the making, it's recommended to find Facebook groups in this topic. It's important that you see others, that you know you're not alone, and that there are thousands, rather millions, of women suffering from the same. Of course, professional help is also recommended here. A psychologist can help a lot in solving everyday issues and determining the severity of your depression. In postpartum depression, it's important to talk about the importance of relationships and communication, and the fact that mothers require attention as well. The task you face in the first few months or years requires flexibility that can't be planned. It's especially important that the environment should take seriously the request of help from new parents. And don't try to meddle in the new family's life without asking first. In many cases, the first cause of postpartum depression are the people who want to help. Because if we don't pay attention to the needs of our family, they can be put on the spot, even by a small visit. We can't know what burdens the mother carries, so that we can spend a few enjoyable minutes with them. As receiving guests in these times requires tremendous amount of energy, it could also lead to mental damage, as she wants to meet expectations, cleaning the house, preparing for guests. These are not compatible with this period of life. So let's say it loud, the environment is the best when it accepts this. There are cultures where several generations living together make this easier, e.g., people from Italy, Spain or India. Helping each other is part of everyday life there, so the mother is never alone. However, where this type of living together is not natural, the constant presence of family members, mother-in-law or grandmother moving in, is another anxiety-causing factor. As you can see, this is not an easy period for the family or the environment. However, for a balanced, harmonious relationship between the mother and the parents, the needs of the family need to be prioritized for everyone. Finally, one of the hardest tasks of the new family is to communicate their needs clearly. We've reached the end of our thought-provoking video, and we'll soon be back with a new topic. In the meantime, tell us what you thought about this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel or to our Patreon page for exclusive videos.